This conference will now be recorded.
Nagaraju or Sai, you both are not able to see recording option, right?
Yeah, I don't see any recording option, Gopi Krishna.
So
I have started recording. I have started recording, Krishna.
Slowly, sir. First, thing, no problem. After our discussion, we will start again.
Okay.
Click on
This
I started
conference will
recording.
now be recorded.
Okay.
Okay, Nagaraju Ravi. So we'll start. Nagaraju Sai. We will start the session.
Okay.
So basically, like before going to, I have some slides about RPA. So before going to that slides, I want to give some overview on RPA, what basically it is, and then we will go through the slides also. We'll see some theoretical part, and then slowly we will move on to UiPath installation and working on UiPath. All that will start in next class. So today, like I will start with the overview. So basically, you guys might be already heard about RPA means it is robotic process automation. So basically, robotic process automation means generally people used to think it is something related to physical robot. So that's what people used to think. But here it is not related to any physical robot. So whatever the process we develop and whatever the after developing the process, how we are going to deploy that process on any particular machine. So that thing we used to call as robo is basically a software component. So that is what we used to call it as robo here. Either we can call it as robo or we can call it as bot or digital workforce. So these three technical terms we use in RPA. It is all about software robo, software process, what we develop, what we automate. So that is called software robo or bots or digital workforce. So with this, um, basically the RPA, robotic process automation means we use this robotic process automation tools to automate particular any particular process to automate. Any particular process means if we take any field, any industry, any field or any agency, everywhere manual work involved, right? Manual, they used to do a lot of manual work. Though they have software, though they have computer, everything, to work on that software itself, they used to the people used to sit and used to type lot of data entry and a lot of process validation. All that they used to do manually. For example, if we take any SAP software or if we take any other CRM software, like this, any software if we take, we have software everything, but still if you want to if you want to process a purchase order or if you want to purchase a sales invoice in case of manufacturing industry, for all that first we need to have proper data in the file and then we need to type in that particular software. So to avoid this thing, the mainly we use robotic process automation softwares. So robotic process automation means if we develop the process, if we automate that process, whatever the people are doing manually, we can automate that. We can target those. We can target to automate. Once if it is automated, then we can reuse it any number of times, daily basis or hourly basis, whatever, we can reuse that. That is the main benefit of robotic process automation. So whichever done by manually, we are going to automate that process and we are going to rerun any number of times. So that is the basic idea of robotic process automation. So there are some other factors involved. For example, if you want to automate any particular task, that task by nature it should be a repetitive task, and then it should have structured data. Structured data means if you take any business process, for example, sales invoice, purchase order, and then accounts payable, accounts receivable in the manufacturing industry. So each and every process should be having relevant data. That means we used to call that as structured data. For example, if we take purchase order, it should have purchase order date, purchase order number, purchase order, and then what item we are going to purchase, and how much is the quantity, and how much is the unit price. All that relevant data. So all that we should be having this structured data. So if you want to develop the automation process, we have to look for these options. It should be repetitive in nature, and it should have structured data, and uh, it should be able to, the automation tool should be able to interact with different applications, different technology applications, and it should be able to automate. So
Sir,
the
one
third
minute.
is
Sorry to
Mhm.
disturb. We are not seeing any PPT here. Just we are seeing on your desktop.
Yeah, I'm just giving the overview. I will come back to
Okay.
the PPT.
Okay.
Don't worry. I
Thank
have
you.
a very big PPT. No issues. So all this we need to look into it. The third is technology. So technology means, as we know, right? We have SAP software, we have CRM software, we have so many other softwares, right? Each and every software might have developed in different technologies, so that our RPA automation tool should be able to interact with those applications, and should be able to recognize, identify those objects, and it should be able to automate that process. So all that, so that our RPA tool should be having the capability of automating different kinds, different technologies, applications which were developed in different technologies. So all that we need to, all these factors we need to take care of before going for RPA automation. So this is just a general overview I gave you, what is RPA and what kind of process we will automate and all. Now we will go through the PPT slide, so that it will give you more knowledge on that. I'll just open the PPT, then we'll go through that. So as we discussed, if we see theoretically what is robotic process automation, that's what we say. RPA software based robotics that emulates work that people do. That's what we discussed. Whatever the process manually the people sit and do, that we target to automate. And anyway, it's not a physical robot, it's a software robot. And mainly the RPA, it should be able to configure, because we are not going to code. We are not going to code in RPA. So that is the main benefit. And the whatever the capabilities it has, it should be able to configurable. If you want to pass different sets of parameters with different sets of data, all that it should be able to configurable. So that is one main advantage of RPA. And the business rules. After that, the business rules. So any RPA software, it should be able to handle the business rules, because if we take any existing business process, each and every process may have different kinds of rules. For example, if we take inventory, right? If inventory goes below certain amount, then we have to raise the purchase order. And if it is if it is not below that particular point, we need not to raise the purchase order, right? So to handle these decisions, to handle these situations, any RPA tool should be having the should be able to handle these conditions, whether if it is true means what should do, false means what should do, and if it is multiple choices, is it comes in the process, how we are going to handle in the process. So all that we used to call as business rules. So any RPA software, it should be having the capability of handling these rules. So that is what we say here. And then, as we discussed, the RPA software should be able to automate different applications. It can be .NET application, it can be Java application, or it can be a SAP application. Any application it should be able to automate. And then exception management. Exception management means, for example, after developing your software bot, it should be running without any error. So if you anticipate any error may come in the process, that should be handled at the time of you are developing the process itself. You should be handle that uh, error. So for that, we will use the concept called exception management. So all that any RPS tool should have the capability of handling this exception management. So that is what we used to say, like RPA is a configurable software tool that uses business rules and sequence of actions to automatically complete processes in any number of different applications the same way a human would, with the help of people for exception management. So it should be like how a business process might have n number of steps, right? So how we are going to accommodate those number of steps in our process, that is what we used to call as sequence of actions. So in UiPath we have uh, the activities. So using those activities, we will build up the process. So each and every activity, maybe if you want to read a file, we have activity for that. If you want to write a file, we have activity for that. Each and every action, whatever you want to do, we are going to make use of the activities in UiPath, and we are going to build our automation process. And once the automation process is developed, we are going to deploy that process to the another component of UiPath that we will see, and that is called the orchestrator. From that orchestrator, we will be running our process without any interruption. So we may have huge number of processes. So how we are going to configure this huge number of processes in different uh, workforces, that means in different VMs also we can say, and how we are going to achieve, uh, how we are going to run quickly, all that we'll be studying in this course. So let me move on to the next slide. So as I talked, right, it should be configurable software means what? Out of the box software that comes with built-in functionality. So we are not, as I said, it's a codeless. RPA is basically a codeless software tool. We are not going to code anything. We have everything in the form of built-in functionality. So that's what we have, around 300 plus activities in UiPath. So we are going to just drag and drop those activities, and we are going to build our processes without any coding. And business roles. The decision criteria are constraints that determine how a process is to be executed. As we discussed, business rules is basically the conditions. Each and every process may have different conditions. Our tool should be able to handle those conditions. So we are going to use if activity, and we are going to use flow decision, and we are going to use other flow switch. So using those activities, we are going to handle the business roles in UiPath. All that we will study in detail in the course. And then sequence of actions. If we want to build the huge automation process, we are going to we are going to build step by step. That means using those 300 plus activities, we are going to build up the automation process in sequentially. So that is what we call it a sequence of actions, a series of steps taken to complete actions across multiple systems. And this task can range from simple to complex, right? Using UiPath, we can build a simple process also, and we can build a complex process also. So how we are going to design any complex process in UiPath? So we have like three kinds of workflows. It is called a sequence, and state machines, and flowchart. So using these three workflows, and one more workflow called X, that will be used for global exception handler, that will be used for exception handling. But the mainly we are going to use these three workflows like sequence, flowchart, and state machines. Using these three workflows, we are going to achieve developing a complex workflow. It can be a very large process also. We can achieve them by using these workflows, three workflows. So basically, like creating and updating reports and all, it's a simple task. Managing work absences, balancing erroneous invoices. These and all, balancing erroneous invoices and all, it's a bit complex process, but all that we can, it's achievable in UiPath.
Ravi, can you give me any example for those three tasks? The creating and updating reports. What can you give an example for that? Like any?
Yeah, example, creating and updating reports, right? So basically, when you develop a process, for example, when you develop a purchase order, right? We can use different activities, and we will place purchase order date, purchase order number, purchase order, and then what are the items we are going to purchase, item description, and how much quantity we are going to purchase, right? All that we will use the activities, we will build up that process, and finally we have to make the report, right? We have to make the report saying in the proper purchase order form. We have to make the report, and if you want to later on, if you want to do any modification on that purchase order, in our process we should be having options to modify that report. So that is what we call it as creating and updating reports. We can create the report, and later on, if you want to modify that report, we can modify that report using automation process. So like that, managing work absences. So managing work absences means like mm, these are all comes under negative scenarios. So any process may have negative scenario, and how we are going to handle that negative scenarios. So using exception handling, using if activity, we are going to handle that negative scenarios. And balancing erroneous invoices. This is kind of again updating the process. So if any errors in the invoices, if any error in the invoice, how we are going to update that erroneous invoices. So again, it's a kind of updating the process that we will be doing in our process development. So while designing the process itself, we should be having the options to correct the errors. If anything in future occurs, how we are going to handle that errors. So that is the thing we are talking about, balancing erroneous invoices. Just for an example, we have put here. So all that, for example, correcting the erroneous invoices and all, it is not a easy, simple workflow. It will be a bit complex workflow. Just for example, we have put it here. What is complex workflow referred to? For that reason, we have put this managing work absences and erroneous invoices. So all that while developing the process itself, we should be having options to modify in the future. And then automatic. Automatic means once the process is developed and we can run that automatically. We can schedule it at any particular time to run. If it is a daily job, we can configure it to run at particular time. So that is what we used to call as automatic here. The completion of tasks is done independently. Different applications, as we talked, RPA operates on the front-end applications similar to the way that people use them. So how the physically people sit and work on the applications, right? It can be a SAP application, or it can be CRM application. In all applications they work like that. If we develop a process, we should be able to automate. The RPA tool should be having capability of automating different applications. It can be .NET it can be .NET applications or Java applications. It can be any technology. Maximum, the RPA tool supports all technologies to automate. And mainly it is used for executives. Studying this RPA course will be mainly beneficial for executives, operational leadership, delivery, information technology, and information security, HR, risk office. So pretty much in all the fields, people can use RPA software to automate their processes, day-to-day processes. They can automate using RPA tools. And definition and benefits of RPA, right? In this course, we will be clearly understand about definition and benefits of RPA, and what makes, how we are going to develop a well-designed RPA solution, strategic considerations, lessons learned, and best practices. So while designing the automation process, what are the best practices we are going to follow to develop a well-designed RPA solution? So all that we will go through. and real examples from enterprise. So we will also automate some mini projects, mini process development. Like we will take one web-based application we will take and we will automate, and then we will take one Windows-based application, a desktop application, and we will automate. So once if we are done with all the concepts in UiPath, then we will take these two mini projects, and then you will be well versed in the process development. How are you going to automate web application? How are you going to automate desktop applications? So you will be very familiar in those development. So basically, when you are done with the course, like you should be in a position to select a process to automate. If you go for any company as a RPA developer, then you should be in a position to select a process, which process can be automated, and what are the basic factors we need to look, before selecting a process for automation. All that you will learn in the course. So you will be knowing like what is the benefits of RPA, best practices, and selection of processes for automation. So you should be in a position to select a process for automation. So uh, you will be very clear what process you are going to automate, what process you are going to select for the automation. So that much knowledge you will have when you complete this course and ensure success of your RPA initiative.
Navigaru, hello,
Yeah,
hello. What is the difference between like
yeah, it's
automate,
Nagaraj, right? Yeah,
no, yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Nagaraj.
This is Sai.
Nagaraj,
What
right?
is no, no, Sai. This is
Yeah,
Sai. What is the difference
yeah,
between
tell me, sir.
automation anywhere, Blue Prism, and UiPath? Like, what is the difference
Okay.
from three of them?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So all three are related to, or all three are basically RPA tools only. So there is no difference in that. All three are RPA tools. Basically, the Blue Prism has its own architecture, and UiPath has its own architecture. Likewise, automation have its own architecture.
Like
So
the like
around
you're saying, hello,
80%. Yeah.
like
Yeah,
like
go
you're
ahead,
saying,
go ahead.
like you're saying, like the interface is like same, or like the what actually difference in the in three of these tools? User
No,
interface are
interface
different.
is not different.
Okay,
Yeah, all user interface different. Everything, the architecture itself is different, but commonly the goal are same. For example, in Blue Prism also you will be able to send and receive emails. In UiPath also we have option to send and receive email, and in Automation Anywhere also we have send and receive email. But all three are done in different manner, because their entirely UI interface is different in case of Blue Prism, and in UiPath user interface is different, and in Automation Anywhere user interface is different mainly. And then in Blue Prism also we use .NET, .NET they use. In UiPath we can use .NET, the full .NET development. You can make use of .NET functions and .NET classes, everything. It supports UiPath. And Automation Anywhere you will not write. It supports VB script and JavaScript and all. Automation Anywhere it supports. You can write program in JavaScript. You can write program in VB script. All that it supports. So the main thing is architecture is different, but here in Blue Prism we use whatever I call it as activities. We have 300 plus activities in UiPath. In Blue Prism we have less number of activities. There it is called as stages. So in Blue Prism we have like entirely flowchart symbols. There is no sequence, there is no there is no state machines, there is no flowchart. It is a flowchart is there, but it is a different terminology we use there. In UiPath, we have all three workflows, whatever we discussed, state machines and flowchart and sequence, all three workflows we have. But in Automation Anywhere, we don't have any concepts like these stages and those things we don't have. All we used to call it as commands. Commands nothing but here like it is equivalent to activities and stages, right? Stages in Blue Prism and activities in UiPath. In Automation Anywhere, we used to call directly as commands. So here if you want to read a file, here you will use activity, but there in Automation Anywhere you will use commands for that. So in all three we should be able to automate Excel. So Excel automation, all the final objective is like Excel automation can be done all in all three, but it will be done in different using different activities, right? Different actions, because each and every software has its own architecture. So using that, we are going to achieve the common goals like email automation, Excel automation, and data table, and queues, how we are going to maintain the queues. For example, queues means you might have thousands of records. All the thousands of records, how we are going to allocate for the different VMs, how we are going to configure that to the different VMs, how we are going to achieve it quickly. So that is what work queue management we used to call work queue management. So work queue management, we can it can be achieved in all three of these tools, but in different manner we will achieve it. In UiPath, we used to call it as control using orchestrator. We used to do that. In Blue Prism, we used to call that as control room. Using control room, we used to do that. In Automation Anywhere also, the terminology we used to call control room, but all these three is having same kind of work to achieve, but in different way we will achieve it. So that is the main differences between these. Mainly user interface is different for all these, and Blue Prism is developed by like in US, right? In US, Blue Prism US company developed that, and UiPath, I think European based tool, this one. Automation Anywhere also I think it's from US. So that and all, like we need not to know where it is developed and all, but these are the main architecture differences we have between these three tools. So like if we take in all these three tools, the common goal we will achieve, like how we are going to automate the desktop applications, how we are going to automate web application, how GUI application and screen scraping, Citrix automation, mainframe automation, SAP automation, SAP HANA migration, Excel automation, macro recorder. All the thing like we can achieve in all three software, but in different way we will achieve this. These are the common goals we are going to achieve using RPA tools. Screen scraping, data scraping, all that it is there. So if you have any image, right, on that image, if you want to read the text, that can be achieved in all three tools, but it will be a different way we will achieve that. In case of Automation Anywhere provides like predefined formats of invoices, this one what is it called, accounts receivables, accounts payables, like this. It provides n number of predefined formats. So if we want to use those formats, we can use and we can automate. But in UiPath and Blue Prism, we don't have that that kind of predefined formats. So that is one main advantage in Automation Anywhere. Apart from that, predefined formats, if we want to automate custom format, we can do that in Automation Anywhere. But here entirely different concepts in UiPath and Blue Prism and all. So there are a lot of differences like this, but the ultimate goal should be achieving these common goals. Got it, Sai, right?
Oh yeah, yes.
So when you learn about in a few classes, right, you will exactly come to know what is the thing we are going to achieve in UiPath and other softwares.
Okay, yeah. When I go to the real time, then I can know something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the main advantage of UiPath. So and then in UiPath, now we are coming to the particular tool specific. So till now, whatever we have discussed is just general RPA overview. What and all can be done using RPA? What are the things can be automated using RPA? What are the technologies we can be automated using this RPA? Now we are going to study about the particular tool, that is UiPath Concepts, and then we will 80-90% we will study UiPath here, and then remaining 10% we will study about that orchestrator, what I talked to you about, that centralized management tool where we can configure different VMs to run to achieve workload. All that we will study in the orchestrator. So in UiPath Concepts, what we are going to, the key concepts are activities, sequence. So activity, as I talked to you already, it's a 300 plus activities there in UiPath itself. So basically an activity is a small task action in UiPath. That's what I said. If you want to read a file, if you want to write a file, if you want to print a message, all that we call it as activities. So here example we have given like button click, key press, copy, paste, all that we used to call as activity. We have separate activity for that. We are going to use that activity and we are going to achieve our uh, task building, automation process development, we are going to achieve using these activities. So combination of meaningful series of activities make a sequence. For example, like a system restart, logging into email, like that. If we want to do a system restart, if we want to restart our system, just like that we cannot restart, right? We may have different activities to do that. All that activities we will put in a sequence and we will be achieving the system restart. Like that, if we want to read a email from email server, it can be a Gmail or it can be Rediff mail. If you want to read the email from the email server of the particular provider, we can develop a process like logging into email or read email, right? We can develop that process. That process will be making use of many actions in that, many activities. Using many activities we will be achieving this logging into email and all that stuff, reading email, writing email, sending email, all that we will be achieving it. So that is just a general UiPath concepts I said. If we talk about UiPath architecture, we have three components. Like the first component is UiPath, we can call it as UiPath Robo, and second component orchestrator, third one is Studio. So in this, Studio means, UiPath Studio means it is basically the development client. We used to call that as the development client. That means UiPath Studio is the software we will use this software for our process development. 80%, almost 90%, we will use UiPath Studio only, because we are the RPA developers. We are going to develop the process. That developing the process can be achieved from UiPath Studio software, UiPath Studio component. And then orchestrator. Orchestrator component is basically a centralized management tool. That means if you have developed a n number of processes, right, how we are going to organize that process, how we are going to run that process. One or two process means okay, directly from the UiPath Studio itself you can run and publish the results. But if you want to run n number of processes, we cannot do it. We cannot sit and do it. Then it is not. Then it will not be called as RPA, right? RPA means without any human interaction, it should run. That for that reason only we have orchestrator tool. So the orchestrator tool will manage the centralized execution of the processes. So if we have a number of processes, we can configure those processes to each digital workforce, and we can schedule the run so that all that at a time it will run in different processes, so that we will achieve running them quickly. And then UiPath Robo. UiPath Robo is another component. It will act as the agent between Studio and Orchestrator, right? So it will act as the agent between Studio and Orchestrator. Suppose whenever we develop whenever we want to develop a process, we will always use UiPath Studio, and whenever we want to run it from the centralized management tool, then we will go for Orchestrator. And this Orchestrator will interact with this UiPath Robo, and then it will run. So because this is kind of agent, UiPath Robo is kind of agent. This orchestrator will give the machine key, and we will make a link to this UiPath Robo component, and from then onwards, either we can run from orchestrator or we can run from UiPath Robo. So using these two, UiPath Robo and orchestrator, we cannot develop any process, but we will use those components for execution purpose. UiPath Studio, actually the development, all development will be happened in UiPath Studio. So now we will go through this theory. It will be more clear for you. UiPath Studio is a developer area where we do process modeling development. That's what I said. All development will happen in UiPath Studio. Orchestrator, centralized management area where we can have dashboard managing, controlling, and monitoring entire UiPath robotic processes. If you have a number of processes, all that can be monitored, managed, and we can see the dashboard, how many processes are in development, how many processes are completed, how many are having errors. All that we can see it in the orchestrator. That's what it is. It used to call as a centralized management area. And UiPath Robo. UiPath Robo is an agent which help to execute the processes on the target machines or system and return the execution results. This is what I used to call that as the agent. It will just run the process and it will provide you the results. So if you are done with these three components, then we are done with UiPath. So 90% we will study about UiPath. Remaining 10% we will talk about only how we are going to run in UiPath Robo, how we are going to run in Orchestrator, how we are going to handle global variables, all that we will see in the Orchestrator. So I have put more definitions on that. I'm going to share these slides with you, so you can go through this theory part and all. So now we are going to see particularly about UiPath Studio. So if you open UiPath Studio, we will have this process development will be done through MS Workflow Foundation technology. Basically, whatever that workflow I said, sequence, flowchart, and state machines, it's all already the UiPath has followed this technology, MS Workflow Foundation technology. Microsoft has this Workflow Foundation technology. UiPath is just following that, using those technology in UiPath also. So we need not to study about MS Workflow Foundation technology. That's just for information purpose. I have put it here. And mainly in UiPath Studio, we will have a visual-based process designer. That means if you want to develop the process, we should be having the work area, right? That we used to call that as the process designer. And the activities we will have, as I discussed, we have 300 plus activities. So all that activities will be placed in one activities panel. And then advanced recorder for desktop, web, Citrix terminal. So if you want to automate different applications developed in different technologies, we are going to use this advanced recorder. We have an option called advanced recorder that we will use. Let me open the UiPath tool itself so that I will explain directly there. UiPath Studio. So now I will just compare this and directly I will explain here. So UiPath Studio user interface, it's having ribbon. So ribbon means all this. This is the ribbon actually. It will have open, start, teams, tools, settings, all that we will use. For example, if you want to open a existing process, we will use open. We will use open, and then if you want to, this is the start page actually. So start page will be having all the options: open, open recent. If you want to develop a new process, you can use here. You can click here, and if you want to create a reusable component, then we will go for library, and then we have some framework, existing framework. If we want to use, we can use of these templates. The very famous one is RE framework. Robotic Enterprise Framework is a very famous one in UiPath. Then we will study Robotic Enterprise Framework in this course. So this is what the first screen overview. And then we have, anyway, this open will be used to open the existing process. This is anyway start page. This is team. So the teams means if you have the bigger team, how the entire team is going to work on this UiPath. So for that we have version control software. So basically the UiPath supports Git repository. Git repository means Git version control system it supports, and also it supports Team Foundation server. So the company, some companies use Team Foundation server as a version control software. Some companies might use Git as the version control software. So using these two, we can the entire team can check in their code and check out their code, so they can maintain the repository. And tools. In tools, we have like a few apps like UI Explorer, and we have extensions. If you want to automate Chrome, then we need to have Chrome extension installed. If you want to automate any applications on Firefox browser, we need to install this Firefox extension. Like this, all these extensions we need to install if you want to automate that related. UI Explorer is basically, it is a tool, again it is an application used to identify the objects from the external applications. For that reason, we will use this UI Explorer. So effectively, we will use this UI Explorer to read, to identify objects from the different applications. And then settings. This settings and all, it's like changing the language and all other general settings. And then help. So from help, UiPath provides very good help, actually help documentation. So if you want to see product documentation, you can click here and see the product documentation. Community forum is there, and help center is there. Community forum, so the different website itself will open. You can take a look on that. So apart from the community forum, we have product documentation. If I click here, you will see online product documentation. So whatever we discussed, activities, workflows, 3 kinds of workflows, everything you will find that in the product documentation. It's like, so all this in depth, if you want to study, you can go through all these topics and you can enhance your knowledge. So and then we have help center, and then we have academy. In academy, there are some predefined videos, webinars, videos, all that is there. You can whenever you have time, you can go to academy and you can watch those videos, webinars and all. Anyway, this is release notes and this is survey. This and all we are not going to use. So this is what this is screen overview. Apart from that, now we are going to, I'm clicking on start button. We are going to create a new process. Whenever you click on new process, it will ask you to give it. Yeah.
Yeah, can we download it from our side? Is it free or we have to buy the software?
Yeah. I will come to that point. The product installation and all. I will give you where to download and all the information. We can download it. Okay, it's going to be 10:30 now. So what we can do is we will continue this from tomorrow. How to, let me create a process. I will just tomorrow we'll see in detail. I'm just giving some overview on this. For product installation, I will come back to that. So when we create a new process, we will have this screen layout, right? In this, we have the mainly we need to look for projects. So whatever the project we created, blank process 1, right? That will take us the root node. So you can just minimize this also. You can collapse, you can expand. If you want to see where this project got created, right click, open project folder. So your project is basically created in this path. It is basically your user. If you install this tool in your laptop, it will be available in your users folder, documents, UiPath folder. So by default, it will get created over here. So we created one process that is available here. When you double click it, you will see main workflow. This is the one you are seeing here. When you click on projects, you will see this main. So this main is basically this one. And this project.json is basically stored here, project.json. And settings. So this settings is basically this one, right? Where it's actually got created. So we have, as I said, we have 300 plus activities, right? If you come here, this is project tab, this is activities tab. You will see all the 300 plus activities over here. So we will drag and drop, we will build our process. So the process designer in UiPath Concepts, I told the process designer is basically this area. Here is what we are going to design the process. Right now it is displaying some help information. To come to that process area, basically you need to go back to project, and always you need to click on that main.xml. That is called main workflow. This is what your main workflow. Here, this is what process area, designer area. So here, by default, it gives drop activity here. So you can click here, you can pull an activity over here. So this is what we will design our process. The UiPath itself gives these options to add plus. Here also you will see plus, here also you will see plus. If you click here, the same activities, whatever you see here, the same activities would populate here also. Whenever you give plus, you click on plus, you will see it here. Here also you can pull any activity. If you double, automatically it will pulled over here. This link will be made automatically. So this is how using each and every activity, whichever activity we need to develop a process, we will pull that, or we will add it in our sequence, and then we will develop our process. So this is basically all about process area. And then we have variables panel. Here we will have all the variables defined. Here we will have all the arguments defined. And likewise, this is properties. Where each 300 plus activities, I told each and every activity will be having the properties, because these are basically follows the OOPS concept. Each and every object, we can consider this as the object. Obviously, this object will be having properties. So that is the functionality here. So if you select this activity, you will see the relevant properties over here. All should be able to configure, right? Where whatever you want to configure for this activity to run, you can configure here. And we have some other, as usual, the toolbar we have. In this toolbar, we will study many functionalities. For example, recording, I told advanced recorder. Using this recorder, we can automate different types of applications. We can automate basic applications. We can automate desktop applications using this. We can automate web application using this. We can automate image automate. We can do image automation using this image. We can automate Citrix application using native Citrix, and computer vision advanced AI concepts also here. So all apart from that, we will study about screen scrapping, how we are going to scrap the data from the screen. How this is data scrapping, how we are going to scrap the data from the web page. All that we will study. So UI Explorer, as I discussed, UI Explorer we will use to identify the objects from the external applications. And finally, we will use this publish. Once our process development over, we will use this publish to publish this process to the control room. That means orchestrator, and then we will be able to see our process in the orchestrator. From the orchestrator, we will run the process. So all that we will study. So this is what overall tool overview, overall screen overview. So we will, in forthcoming classes, we will study in detail of that. Now I am coming back to your question. So how we are going to, we can in UiPath we have enterprise edition and community edition. Two are there. Community edition, we can use it for our learning purpose. Community edition UiPath gives free actually. So in for learning, community edition itself enough. You can learn all the concepts in community edition. That is entirely free. It is not 1 month or 2 months. You can use forever. We will download community edition from UiPath.com tool. So if you go to UiPath.com, UiPath.com, here it's not allowing for me. It's a net problem. When you go to this UiPath.com, you will see the start trial. The option called start trial over here. You can click on this start trial, and if you scroll down, you will see this community cloud. Try it. Here you will see free trial period is always free. So this is the one we are going to select. We are going to use this community edition. So these and all, there are some other 60 days version, 60 days license and 60 days license also there. These three are 60 days, but after that we cannot use it. But that's the reason we are going to use this community edition. You can click on try it. When you click on try it, it will ask you to create a user. It will ask you to create a user. If you create that user, then you can follow that instructions, and there will be the setup we used to community edition like that. You need to download the stable version. If you download, then you are once the application downloaded, the setup is downloaded, then just double click and you can install it. So since I have already installed, for me directly it comes to UiPath Orchestrator. So this and all we will study later in forthcoming sessions. We will study all these things. So right now let me log out this one. So basically when you click on that try, right, you will be landed in this page. Since I have already logged in, it came there to this one. Otherwise basically it will come here only. So you see here, when I click here try it, it will come to this user creation page. If you have Google account, you can use that Google Gmail account here, or better create one account in UiPath itself. So if you click here, already have an account, you can click this one, sign up with email. You can give your any email and you can sign up with that. For example, yeah, give your your personal information, first name, last name, and country, email, password, all that you can give. And then once it is done, you will receive an email. Whatever the email you are giving, there you will get one email. In that email, download link will be there. So if you follow those steps, you will be able to download UiPath Community Edition. Once it is downloaded, just double click on that setup. It will be installed. So finally, you will see when you search UiPath over here, you will see this one, UiPath Studio and then UiPath Robo. These two components you will be seeing. So that means your installation is success. Any doubts in this, Sai and Nagaraj?
No, we are good.
So just do that. Since I have already downloaded, I'm not giving any information over here. So in your case, provide all this information. You will get an email from UiPath. There you will see the download link. Follow that instructions, and you should be able to download UiPath Community Edition.
Sure.
Try to install it that tomorrow, so then we can continue with other topics. So from
Okay.
tomorrow, what we are going to see is, let me give some overview on that. So this is the UiPath training course content we are going to study. So today we just gone through this introduction to RPA, right? We are done with that. Introduction to UiPath, we are done with this. From tomorrow we will start with this all concepts. We will study about variables, data types, and control flow first. So in that we are going to cover all these things. So whenever complete, we will put it as done, and we will proceed with the next topics. So in forthcoming lessons, we will study about data manipulation, Excel automation, UI interaction, selectors, all the concepts we will study. Okay, so any doubts till now?
No.
Okay then, so we'll catch up tomorrow the same time.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.